So I'd like to introduce Jace. He's with the Michigan League of Conservation Voters. He's going to be talking today about their Energy Savings Now program. And Jace, I'd like to hand it over to you.
Yeah, my name's Jace Beilinga. Again, though, I go by he, him. I'm Michigan League of Conservation's Voters Southwest Michigan Regional Coordinator. And for those not familiar with the organization, generally speaking, we work to protect Michigan's air, land, water, and democracy by activating voters to elect and hold accountable public officials who fight for an environment that sustains the health and well-being of us all. And just wanted to make sure I was clear that, I'll be expressing the views of our organization, not necessarily the coalition or any of its affiliates. So the pillars of our work are, climate action, safe drinking water, and healthy Great Lakes, and a democracy for all. So these three big pillars cover a lot, but really drive our work forward. And the climate work that we do is very much in line with, the goals of the Kalamazoo Climate Crisis Coalition. We want to make sure we transition to, renewable energy in a way that also considers environmental justice concerns as a core feature. How we get our work done is through our cycle of accountability, really. Our electoral work centers around identifying the top environmental and democracy champions running for office across Michigan, and we work to get them elected to office. Our endorsed candidates receive our full support through the election process. But that's not when our job ends. Our job is always happening. We're working with folks to also pass clean energy laws, like we can see here. We've got our green canvasser at the time, Austin Marsman, helping to lead our team with State Senator Sean McCann. That's a little bit about our organization, really. My goal here today was to present on the work of Michigan League of Conservation Voters. This is how we do our work. We work with candidates to pass legislation, and then we talk about that legislation and we follow them the whole way along with our work. So as an affiliate of the Climate Crisis Coalition, we're doing our best to convey our work so you all can decide if you want to participate. But I'm not expressing any views about the Climate Crisis Coalition. So moving forward, here's our upcoming events. And also the Inflation Reduction Act, which is an act that was passed by our president and is a very bold act, is going to be doing great things for our community. So the IRA is the largest investment in climate and clean energy in the country's history. However, over the $369 billion in funding are being implemented by many different government departments, have different application requirements, different deadlines, and is overall complicated to understand. In today's presentation, we'll break down the buckets of investments and give a general overview who might qualify for these funds. We will make sure to send you the slides. Actually, I might not set out these slides, but moving forward, the first bucket are the Consumer Rebates and Tax Credit Program. These are going to be what most individuals are going to take advantage of. This program will be run by EGLE, Michigan's Department of Great Lakes Environment and Energy. With the federal funds from the IRA, rebates will help homeowners and landowners upgrade appliances like gas stoves, furnaces, dryers, and more into more efficient and cheaper electric options. Lower income residents will get 100% of these costs covered, while others can claim up to 50% of the cost off. These rebates will be available sometime in the fall of 2024, but there are tax credits available now. Rebates will be directly off the price of tag, making it easy to access. I'm looking forward to some of that for myself and my home. But however, if you cannot wait, tax credits are available now, but they require you to pay up front for the product and receive a credit when you file your taxes later. But right now, homeowners can access these tax credits. If you're planning to make upgrades to your home, make sure to check out the IRS guidelines you can find on our website. The first step in making clean upgrades to your home that will save you money is to schedule an energy audit. An energy audit will help identify where you might need more insulation or need to upgrade appliances that are old and inefficient. A note for the renters in the room: if you are a renter, you probably realize that you often don't have much control over home upgrades, appliances, repairs, and improvements. As a result, renters can't really take advantage of the tax credits from home improvements. However, that doesn't mean you can't go electric on your own. You can certainly still benefit from the Inflation Reduction Act programs and investments. A great place to start for renters is Rewiring America's Electrification Planner, and they have some helpful tools for renters to know how to talk to their landlord so that the landlord can start making electrification plan and start making upgrades to the home. It also has some other resources to become more knowledgeable with electrification and home energy efficiency so that you can help others take advantage of those benefits. To show you how you can save, you can check out this QR code, take you to the Rewiring America calculator. So Rewiring America has developed a tool to show you what tax credits you qualify for. So everyone, if you want, you can check this out. And I'm also going to share with you the Energy Savings Now program website later, so you can find it through there. Michigan Saves is the nation's first nonprofit green bank, and they make it really easy to find contractors for your specific project needs, then help you apply for financing and find a lender. It's staffed by public sector consultants, and helping Michigan move to a clean, sustainable, equitable, and decarbonized future is at the heart of its mission. It's michigansaves.org, pretty easy to find. Great. So moving on, we've got another bucket. The next bucket of funding is the EPA's Environmental Justice Block Grant Program. This program is designed for community-based projects that will help reduce pollution burdens and help fight or adapt to climate change. There are almost unlimited creative ways to use this funding, but examples could include a tree planting initiative in an urban area to reduce the heat island effect and soak up carbon dioxide, or plan to solarize the community health center, or a project to electrify a vehicle fleet. Those interested in applying for these community-based projects can reach out to these centers for technical assistance created by the Inflation Reduction Act. The EPA's Region 5, covering most of the Great Lakes region, has 2 centers, one at the University of Minnesota and one at Blacks and Green, a nonprofit in Chicago. More contacts will be listed at the end of this, and I know our group is doing a lot of this work ourselves. A very similar program falling under the environmental justice bucket of funding are community change grants. This program is currently accepting applications from community-based organizations until November 1st. EGLE provides wraparound support to interested communities. Essentially, the same types of projects and groups would qualify for this program as the environmental justice block grants. They're just being administered as 2 separate programs, drawing from 2 separate pools of funding. So if you are a community-based organization, make sure to check out both the environmental justice block grants and the community change grants. Another bucket of funding is the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. What is important to note about this funding is that the state of Michigan will be implementing solar for all portion of this program, and they're designing a program focused on installing community solar and rooftop solar in low-income communities. This funding was recently announced. EPA selected 8 financing institutions to see $20 billion to act as a green bank and a clean financing network to help organizations with loans and reimbursement grants for clean energy projects. Michigan Saves is part of that network. At least 70% of the funds announced in early April, over $14 billion of capital, will be invested in low-income and disadvantaged communities. The state of Michigan received $156 million as a Solar for All awardee, a good chunk of the maximum amount of $250 million. they have up to a year to design their program, but listed here is how they describe their full program in their proposal. We are gathering more information about the rest of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, and that will be distributed. But Michigan Saves is an established member of the Green Financing Network that will be receiving billions of dollars. Local credit unions and other lenders in Michigan will be able to access this money for small and large green projects. Another bucket are the climate pollution reduction grants. The state of Michigan through EGLE, the Grand Valley Metro Council, and the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, as well as several federally recognized tribes, were all rewarded with planning grants to develop priority climate action plans. Those were completed March 1st, 2024, and in July of this year, the EPA will announce the implementation grants. Local governments and nonprofits may be eligible for funding from these implementation grants. So stay tuned for when those funding numbers are released this July and get into contact with the entities listed above. So you check out the proposed priority climate action plans now, which will be linked in these slides. So let's see here. Not sure about that, but the full amount may or may not be granted as applications from around the country are competing for the $4.6 billion per pool of money. These applications are closed, but exciting projects are coming to your community soon. Again, as a reminder, this July this year, we will see these regional climate plans put into action. So that's exciting, lots of exciting stuff coming. The last bucket, but one that likely won't require any action from you, is by far the largest amount of money stemming from the IRA. The clean energy tax credits will be awarded primarily to utility companies who invest and generate clean electricity. While we will spare you all the details, the tax credit subsidies and rewards utilities for both building clean energy infrastructure and pays them a per kilowatt hour rate for clean electricity generated. So importantly, these clean energy tax credits are now available for tax exempt entities, meaning municipal utilities, tribes, and nonprofits can claim these tax credits in the forms of a payment. Previous iterations of federal clean energy tax credits did not allow for this, so that's good. Okay, so that concludes our discussion of the buckets of funding available in the IRA. However, some crucial context for the clean energy transition in that the fall of 2023, Michigan passed a new clean and renewable energy standards that will keep our utilities accountable. With the money from the clean energy tax credits in the IRA, the transition to clean energy won't fall onto ratepayers. Very important. So on the slide, we have some helpful messaging as you and your community talk about the Inflation Reduction Act. Polling done in Michigan shows the investments in the Inflation Reduction Act are popular, but people just don't know about them yet. So when residents are informed about the benefits of that IRA, approval jumps to 24 percentage points, which is huge. So clean energy is a winning issue, but we have to get the word out. And we hope today you have the tools to not only talk about the Inflation Reduction Act, but have some ideas on how you can bring projects into our communities. So, next steps, visit our helpful IRA resource guide. I'll share that in the chat. It will connect you to all the relevant government resources and get started on your clean energy journey. Individuals can find the Rewiring America's helpful home electrification guides and get connected to local contractor to schedule an energy audit, and organizations and local governments can find which bucket of funding they want to apply for and begin the process of building a clean energy future for their community. So these were some of the contacts I mentioned. You can reach out to me too, though, but these are the government contacts for some of these programs. And with that, I'll leave my info up here for a moment and have time to take just a few questions before I have to actually go hit the road and do some canvassing.
Okay, Mark has a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, I have three, but it's going to be very quick. One, are these slides available anywhere and where?
I will connect with you, Mark, and we could talk about that. I know I'm hoping to give this presentation in town a couple more times, and it might even be great to see if others might be interested in giving it themselves. So
There's a tremendous amount of detail you presented, and it goes by very quickly. Second question is does MLCV organize any subject matter experts? I'm talking with friends and constituents and others about what they can do, and from time to time, a question comes up that I cannot answer. And it might be, exactly for a ground source heat pump, for instance, something I am right in the middle of considering myself. Some technical questions about that. Are there people to talk to? I mean, I've obviously, when I encounter this with someone else asking me, I will try to find the information, but sometimes it would be better just to talk to an expert. Do we have any
Right.
sources like that?
You know, I know that those sources are being populated in the Rewiring America tools so that you can start to find some like contractors who can give you some more technical, detail about what, your requirements for your heat pump might be and what it's going to actually take to get it installed, and how to, then process either the tax incentives or rebates. So
Well,
I know that's being
Michigan's-
populated there.
If Michigan Saves has a list of contractors, maybe that would also be a source for information. And you
Yeah,
said Michigan
it
Saves.
might well
has
be
the-
that a contractor who's actually doing this work is the most appropriate person to answer the kinds of questions I'm coming up with.
Rewiring
Definitely.
America is creating a position that Skip was looking at and taking a course in, where he's supposed to be able to help you determine what your house needs.
Jace, the third question, real quick, is about MLCV itself. Is it a membership organization?
To be a member of Michigan LCV, we are a member-based organization. You either need to contribute financially or as an activist. So by taking action with us, you're a member, and you just have to do one of those things within the last 21 months, and then that's what our membership base is. And so taking an action could be showing up to Canvas. It could be showing up to table for the Kalamazoo Climate Crisis Coalition at the Michigan LCV table. It could be signing a petition.
Thanks.
Okay. Tim, you have your hand up.
Thanks, Jace. We need to do everything we can to inform people about the Inflation Reduction Act. The weekly Kalamazoo Climate Crisis Coalition newsletter has had the link to Rewiring America in it every week for probably a year or so now. So in the future, if people aren't sure how to connect to Rewiring America, just look at your KCCC newsletter.
I had a question about, you mentioned that there's some program for putting up tree canopies in the cities. Westwood has cut down a number of trees with their water project. Is there any way we could get information about this canopy program and see if there's grants available to repopulate the trees along Main Street and wherever else they managed to destroy them? And I think
Yeah, I
Mark
think-
might be interested in this.
Yeah, I think those organizations that offer technical assistance as a part of those programs would probably be a good resource to reach out to.
Well, you had it on one of your screens. There was, and well, I didn't have enough time to write it down, but there was something about canopy on one of your screens. So
Okay.
that's something I think we might be interested in the township and maybe even the city of finding out about grants for that.
Yeah, so I will share with you a one of those groups that we were talking about, Blacks and Green, is a technical assistance group that focuses on a lot of urban issues, and they are listed as a part of you know, the folks to contact if you have questions about grants
Okay.
and other things.
One of your last screens, you had clean energy. There were 3 boxes about, and they were all getting grants. Does clean energy include nuclear energy, or is it just renewables?
No, it doesn't in this.
Okay.
That would be, yeah, there's some controversy about the phrasing with what is clean, what is renewable. And you know, personally, I'm hoping for clean and renewable, which just because you don't have carbon emissions doesn't mean you don't have environmental justice implications that are very bad.
Okay, and then my third question was Solar for All. You were talking about the program Solar for All. Would that help pay for community solar?
I don't believe so. So when you say community solar, what do you mean?
Community solar is right now one of the laws that are attempted laws in Michigan where like small businesses could start a community solar. 30% of the electricity has to go to low income people. And it means that you cannot be using consumers and you would be getting the benefits of solar so that renters could be getting into the solar picture, that kind of thing.
Right. So community owned solar, that's, I think, the distinction that I'm always wondering about is, it's a great question, Nikki, and I'm just not sure how the federal Solar for All dollars will interact with our state level work. That's part of mainly why I was hoping Austin was going to be able to help us out today, is to be able to, because he's a little more in tune with that. But that'll be something I'm really hopeful for too, is that, we can make it possible to have community owned solar here in Michigan. I know those federal dollars, they're intended to subsidize renewable energy for disadvantaged communities. So I don't know if it matters who owns that solar energy that is being sold to those disadvantaged communities, but it would be a discount towards that green energy going towards those communities.
So, on a legislative basis, what is the League of Conservation Voters working on right now with the legislatures? Or are you working on any specific bills with them? And is there anything that residents can do to help get these bills passed if you are working on specific bills with them?
I'm trying to figure out if I can answer that in a way that will be enjoyable. Back to our cycle of accountability, when we're involved, right now we're in an interesting place, right? We're in an election season, and we also have the potential to pass legislation this year. So to get legislation passed, we have to work with the lawmakers who have control and that we think we might be able to influence. And so the best way I know how to influence them is to, we know who is very likely to support our issues. And so we go out and we support them in their reelection. And at the same time, we're talking to them about, you know, the issues we care about. And if I talk to them about an issue I care about, that's a 501c3 topic, right? Conversation. If I talk to them about a bill number, that's a 501c4 conversation. So we need to be careful about that.
No,
depending on
bills are
the room we're in.
3. They're issues. They're not people.
So when you're asking
Yeah,
somebody
it's
to vote
policy.
for something, yeah, so when you're asking somebody to vote for policy, that's 501c4. Once the Inflation Reduction Act or any other bill goes from a bill to an act, then it's existing policy and it's 501c3 to talk about implementing it. But right now, we're getting out and we're talking to our elected leaders and our potentially to be elected leaders in any forum that we can, right? Michigan LCV is unique because we have all the different tools in our organizational toolbox, where we have political action committees and we have 501c, a different family of organizations. And that allows us to be able to have any conversation at any time with any person we want in a lot of ways. That's roughly a little oversimplistic, but I think you get the idea. So after the election, there's going to be a lame duck session, before the new legislature is seated, and we're anticipating there being some opportunities there. Right now, lawmakers are they're trying to get either elected or reelected. So you have to remember that when you're asking them to maybe do something bold. And so if they think their election is really tight and your issue is a little bit pushing them into a realm they don't think all of their constituents are going to support, they might be a little less likely to support that until the lame duck session, if that makes sense. But if we have like, I mean, when you
Okay,
have
but I
moments
was
like
asking
this,
more about existing bills like the 152, 153.
Okay.
Are there any bills that you're supporting right now that we can be supporting, or that you can be asking people to be supporting?
Right now, our big focus is getting out and interacting with our lawmakers from our
Okay.
advocacy and outreach department's perspective. And then, I encourage you to follow our legislative newsletters. If you're curious about like bill by bill, like day-to-day stuff, our government affairs folks put out a lot of newsletters related to that stuff as well. So we're supporting, community solar for all, polluter pay legislation, and some other laws like that.
Okay. Any other questions? Anne, you have a question?
Yeah, on the community solar or community owned solar, I just wondered, I came from Vermont, and back in about 2013, our local community had community solar, and anyone who lived in the community could buy into it, and then it covered
Great.
the bill. So there's a pattern of, a state where that got started quite early.
Mhm. Yeah.
Is there any place in Michigan that's doing this that is a pattern? I'm just thinking, I too live in Westwood neighborhood, Nikki. Maybe we
Mhm.
can get together, but it seems to me if we have a pattern, we can talk with people in Michigan about how to set up something like this.
That's a great question. And here in Michigan, we're going to have to pass state level legislation to make it possible for communities to own renewable energy projects like that. It's just not legal right now, and the utilities are fighting that very aggressively. We were able to pass historic climate legislation last November, and the utilities put their foot down hard on the one bill related to community-owned solar, because it is the one piece of legislation that actually threatened them with direct competition in their business model. They don't want to compete with the communities.
Mary Ann?
Just wanted to say that there are some communities in Michigan that have a community-owned utility, and in some of those there are community solar now.
Oh, great point, Mary Ann. And you've done so much great advocacy work with Citizens Climate Lobby and elsewhere around community solar. So please feel free to add anything. Thank you, everybody. Sorry for
we
any
might be
miscommunication.
leaving early.
Thanks, Jace.
Thanks,
Thank
Jace.
you.